Well, here, where things stand with regard to the funeral of the late president, the rest of the world or media houses are carrying the news. That's the BBC Africa there. They say Zambia's former president, Edgar Lungu, who died last week, left instructions that his successor, Hakainde Hichilema, should not be anywhere near his body. The two leaders were long-standing political rivals, with Hichilema defeating Lungu in the 2021 elections there, put it across. But since then, what they're referring to there is this news item that was also reported in the Daily Nation, say, no Hakainde Hichilema at my funeral, ECL, as reported by the family spokesperson, Makebi Zulu, earlier on yesterday. But the president has since addressed the nation since then. So in the evening after those news headlines, pretty much when that feedback started circulating of the conditions that the family had put across to say President Hakainde Hichilema should not be anywhere near the body of the late president, Edgar Chagwa. The Republican president Hakainde Hichilema decided to address the nation, and he put up an alert saying he was going to be on ZNBC News, and people waited for that address. And I'll show you the highlights from his speech during then. And some of the feedback, people just weighing in. That's Benoit Mpundungana, member of parliament, says pretty much giving his feedback on the speech that was given by President Hakainde Hichilema. It's a fair statement, and I wish it had come much earlier. Some of the things said and done could have been avoided, but better late than never, I guess. So pretty much he says, okay, kudos to the sitting president, Hakainde Hichilema, on addressing the nation. He says they would have preferred the speech was earlier, but it's better late than never, according to Benoit Mpundu. What is Sean Tembo says, Patriots for Economic Progress, PEP leader and Tose Alliance spokesperson, Sean Tembo says, President Hichilema's national address last night failed to provide a way forward on the impasse between government and the late former president's, President Edgar Lungu's family regarding funeral arrangements. Mr. Tembo says President Hichilema's address on Mr. Lungu's funeral was deficient and did not address the pertinent issues at hand. So that's Sean Tembo's feedback with regard to the speech from the president. Sampa also, because people were expecting the address from the president Hakainde Hichilema to be live. So Sampa says, we recorded memorized poem, no sorry, no empathy, no emotion, no mention of widow or children. Is enough, if you know that saying. He's referring to Wakamba Vambiri. So that's a feedback that came from Sampa, Matero, member of parliament, with regard to the speech. And then some of the extracts from the president's speech is my approach is to focus on positive dialogue with the Lungu family rather than roll out the powers of the president. We will soon reach a consensus, President Hakainde Hichilema. So he says he would rather pretty much negotiate with the family on the way forward, unlike utilizing his presidential powers. But on the other hand, if you remember yesterday, there was a news item that was circulating online with regard to Professor Nkanduluo, where she had alleged to say the state had blocked some of Edgar Lungu's children from going to South Africa to attend the memorial service that was held on Tuesday. To which specifically Daliso, one of the sons to the late president, addressed and responded to say he did not experience that. Also, the Drug Enforcement Commission also responded to say they did not hold any passport of any member of the Lungu family. So, which disparaged the statement that was issued by Professor Nkanduluo. So now, since then, there has been some lawsuits that have fallen across. So that is also urged people not to cohort lies on him that he did not endorse pretty much. He demanded an apology now. If you remember, the platform where Nkanduluo had appeared was Prime TV, and that's where the video trended from. So that statement. So now that is Edgar Lungu's son has decided to sue the TV station. So he says he demanded an apology from Prime TV and 5 million pocket change. So through a letter delivered by his lawyer, Melissa and partners, that is denied ever being summoned or contacted or interrogated by the Drug Enforcement Commission since the death of his father on June 5th. He also described Professor Luo's claims false, reckless, and malicious, adding that the broadcast worsened his emotional distress during the period of personal grief. And according to the lawyers, our clients reiterates that on the material day, he was never summoned, interrogated, or even contacted by the Drug Enforcement Commission on any matter whatsoever. Read part of the demand letter addressed to Prime TV. So the person, the institution that has been sued is the Prime TV, that ran that address, and he says they should have confirmed with him pretty much like before they decided to run with that story. So as things stand, it's not Kandurua that has been sued, it's Prime TV, and for 5 million kwacha demanded by Edgar Lungu's son there for defamation and whatever else. So that's the son to Edgar Lungu on the left, and then that's the daughter on the right there, as things stand. And then Mao Sampa was in South Africa also, and then he says on the plane tonight, South Africa met a number of brothers who are also coming back from our boss Edgar Lungu's memorial service, and also from comforting the mother Esther Lungu and Tesila Mwansa. And then he pretty much, this was Mao Sampa in transit, and then he put up this post as he was coming back home. They're talking of healing, yet Vice President and Speaker continue to abuse the House openly, meddle in the Patriotic Front leadership setup, maybe until we lift shoulders high, their community. So pretty much that those wrangles within the PF continue, and he says, I put up that statement as he was flying back home. So that was Mao Sampa on the plane coming back to Zambia to come and attend the parliament session. And he asked the question that provoked another conversation when he was in parliament. So this is the question that he had asked. Asked the VIP, that's Vice President Mtaenda Lumango, whether Boma, meaning government, was going to respect the wish of Edgar Shagalungu's family that they should not be near his funeral. Their reaction was something, gagging us on Edgar Shagalungu topic. The topic Edgar Chagwa is tension. Pretty much, he says he was gagged when he issued that statement in Parliament. That was Mao Sampa getting back home, obviously wearing a Edgar Lungu t-shirt with the Patriotic Front written on the back. So the question that he had asked was addressed to the sitting Vice President, the Republican Vice President, Mtaenda Lumango. So to which she responded, Vice President describes attempt to hold state funeral without President Hichilema involvement treasonous. So that is a response that came from the Vice President. And then she also advised them, don't take the responsibility that you do not have, because the people are like issuing statements on behalf of the family. It says government are still in touch with the family, and the only people that government is going to get any way forward from is the family itself. So members of parliament should not take up a responsibility that they do not have, in as much as they are members of parliament. They are just like any other ordinary citizen, and the people that are involved here is government and the family, the Lungu family in this regard. So do not take up a responsibility that you do not have. But part of the statement, Vice President Nalumango has described attempt to conduct a state funeral for the late President Edgar Lungu without involvement of President Hakainde Hichilema as treasonous. In a charge session, the Vice President question time in Parliament this morning, Mrs. Nalumango wondered whether there can be a state without a head of state, warning members of the opposition that they are moving on a dangerous path. Responding to material member of parliament, that's Mao Sampa, when he came back from the country. So that's the question he had asked. So responding to material member of parliament, Mao Sampa, who wanted to know whether government will honor the wishes of the bereaved family for President Hakainde Hichilema not to attend the funeral. Ms. Nalumango has criticized the opposition for politicizing the mourning period, urging them to respect the grieving family and the nation collective and the nation's collective loss. She has assured the nation that government is committed to honoring the wishes of the bereaved family during the mourning period, and the administration is actively listening to the families concerned and efforts to foster national unity and harmony. Mr. Lumango has since called on unity during this mourning period, urging all Zambians to honor the late president with dignity and refrain from politicizing the funeral proceedings. So that was the feedback that came from the sitting vice president or Republican vice president, Mr. Lumango, saying government is still engaged with the family, having conversations. And then President Hakainde Hichilema has expressed his hope in finding an amicable conclusion between government and the Lungu family over the burial program of the late former President Edgar Lungu. So the president is optimistic. They say they will come to a consensus soon enough. And then he also said, this is to the Republican president, I am watching on social media, I am listening to what is being said everywhere. We owe ourselves decency as the nation. Other things will come, other things we will pick them up after the burial. For now, focus on mourning. Mutual respect and restraint, President Hakainde Hichilema. So he says anything else can come after we bury the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. For now, let's focus on that. But as you remember, yesterday, Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa was at the Zambian embassy in Harare, where he was signing a book of condolences. And because it seems like the government and Zambia, and the Lungu family couldn't come to an agreement. So he would have preferred probably to be in Zambia, but because of what's going on, he decided to honor the late president at the embassy in Harare. And after that address, he also remembered his time because he was educated in Zambia. He was at the University of Zambia. He says he remembers his fond memories of his interaction with Edgar Chagwa Lungu, the time he was a student here in Zambia, where he did his education from. So those fond memories, because at some point he was even in exile in Zambia, so he's got fond memories of that. And since then, he had sent a delegation to Zambia. So right after that book of condolences signing in Harare, it was reported, President Hakainde Hichilema holds meeting with special envoy from Zimbabwe, Vice President Constantino Chiwenga at State House. So Mnangagwa sent his deputy pretty much to come and see if they can find a solution to this impasse between Edgar Chagwa Lungu's family and the government. And so probably, I think Mnangagwa is the current chairperson for SADC. So it is reported in the Daily Revelation that says SADC presidents step in over Lungu's remains. So probably they're referring to the same meeting that was Vice President of Zimbabwe, who's in the country, to come and have a conversation with the sitting President Hakainde Hichilema there. To which President Hakainde Hichilema acknowledged the meeting. This was just like 50 minutes ago. So the president says, we are deeply honored to receive His Excellency General Constantino Chiwenga, Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, who delivered a message of condolence from His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, on the passing of our 60th Republican President, His Excellency Edgar Chagwa Lungu. We are profoundly moved by the solemn gesture from President Mnangagwa and the people of Zimbabwe during this dark chapter in our nation's history. It is a testament to our enduring bond of solidarity and brotherhood between our two nations. Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia, signs off. So President acknowledged that meeting coming from Zimbabwe there. And then right after that meeting, the president, as reported by Diamond, said, President Hakainde Hichilema signs the book of condolences at the Belvedere Lodge, the official mourning place for the late 60th Republican President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. So after the meeting, the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema went to that lodge. That's the official mourning place where he signed the book of condolences during this mourning period. And then the UPND report says, we shall honor our 60th president, honor him properly by burying him decently in our country, not in any other country, Hakainde Hichilema. So that's a statement that came from the head of state saying President Lungu is not going to be buried anywhere else but in Zambia because he was our sitting president. He was our president, our 60th president. So that's the news item that came from that meeting with the Zimbabwean delegation, where the president confirmed to say a solution was going to be found between the family and government on how to proceed. But one thing that is certain is that the late president is not going to be buried in South Africa or anywhere else. He's definitely coming back to Zambia. It's how to everything else is where the agreement has to be made. And then President Hakainde Hichilema, shortly after signing the book of condolence at Belvedere Lodge, the official mourning place of Edgar Chagwa Lungu there. Those are the images. He also addressed the media as he headed back from there. And then we shall honor our 60th president, honor him properly by burying him decently in our country, not any other country, President Hichilema. So that news item says circulating, say, yo, that's assurance. Mano Wambarana, the same news says Edgar Chagwa Lungu will be buried in Zambia. Former President Edgar Lungu will be buried in Zambia. A fresh program will be communicated to the region. So probably that's the SADC region that want to attend the funeral. Will be communicated to the region. We have invested heavily in talks with the family, President Hakainde Hichilema. So the talks seems to have still continued with the family. Because as things stand right now, the mourning period is supposed to end, at least the official mourning period that was communicated by government is supposed to end tomorrow, the 14th of June 2025. But the body is not yet in the country, and this is, what time is it right now? This is almost 18 hours. So the body is not in the country and it cannot come in the evening, that's for sure. So if it was to come tomorrow, the adjustments are supposed to be made to the program as things stand. That's if the government and the family come to an agreement in South Africa there, where those talks are still in, continuing. And then Diamond TV says, President Hakainde Hichilema says plans to bury 60th President Edgar Lungu will be announced. So I'm pretty sure by the end of the day, Secretary to the Cabinet is going to communicate what they agree with the family there. Or Chief Cabinet spokesperson Cornelius Mweto is likely to communicate that, or the president himself might. We wait and see how it plays out. But as things stand, as of this broadcast, the late president's body is not yet in Zambia. On the other hand, there was drama in Parliament. Binu Mpundu was trying to have a conversation with the Speaker of the National Assembly, and then he got some feedback from the ruling party there, and then the exchange was just something else there. So George Mutonga was just laughing at it to say, pretty much laughing at that engagement. What is the Zambia Daily Mail? Hakainde Hichilema calls for love, unity as Zambia mourns. That's a news headline there. The news diggers rise above differences. Let Zambians bid farewell to their former president, Hakainde Hichilema statement, in the one that he had addressed the nation yesterday. And then real times, Hakainde Hichilema finally speaks, calls for compassion for PF family, saying political differences do not make people enemies. That's in a statement from yesterday's speech by the president. The mass newspaper says, why? UPND must respect the decisions of Edgar Chagwa Lungu's family, says Shinga there. We wait and see how that plays out. What is fugitive EPP President Shifetayari has vowed that he is forming government next year. Shifetayari is trying so bad to come back to Zambia, but he knows the cases that he has is going direct to jail for running away. And yeah, so I do not know how he plans to actually become part of government, because let's say if the UPND continue next year, after the elections next year, how does he come back? Because that's what he's run away from, pretty much from. He's running away from the law. But these are some of the images from Mao Sampa as he headed back home from South Africa. And those are some of the people that were with the Lungu family, and obviously guarding the Patriotic Front symbol there. And that's the news, ladies and gentlemen. So as things stand, the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has confirmed President Edgar Chagwa Lungu will not be buried anywhere else. And that's a confirmation, because I don't see South Africa daring to issue that burial permit for the late president, because they would not want to be in bad books with Zambia, because our relationship with our neighbors is very solid and on good standing. So they wouldn't want to be entangled in these internal wrangles, whether between government and the Lungu family. They would rather Zambians resolve it themselves, and they're not involved. So I also do not see the late president being buried out of Zambia. Definitely the body will be coming back, disagreeing whether President Hakainde Hichilema is going to be present or not, to which the Republican Vice President Mtaina Mango has confirmed to say it cannot be a state funeral without the head of state. So then we wait and see how that plays out. And that's the news, ladies and gentlemen.